All right, so today we are looking at rates, ratios, and proportions. All right, we're going to learn some stuff about those, some definitions. All right, and then I've got a little example sheet where we'll work through some problems, and then you'll have some assigned homework. All right, nothing needs to be turned into Canvas today. We do have a quick turnaround because, again, we're going to have our second quiz this unit. And it's going to be over just this stuff, and that's going to happen this Wednesday. It is a short week for you this week. Okay, so we'll be moving quick, but once again, you'll have an open note quiz. All right, so let's jump into this. This is a foldable activity, but for those of you at home, it's a little bit easier to just see here, so we're going to take them a step at a time. Okay, so this first one, okay, over here on the left-hand side is all about ratios. So everything in this column is all about ratios when you look at ratios and talk about ratios, all right? So the first thing is the definition. A ratio is a comparison of two or more numbers, okay? A ratio is a comparison of two or more numbers. All right, now, the next thing I have for you is an example right here. Okay, an example would be the ratio of stars to circles is 2 to 3. Okay, so notice what they talk about. It's you're comparing two different things. For every 2 stars, there are 3 circles. Okay, and that would be because if you look at this, you've got 2 stars, but then you have 3 circles. All right. Now, you need to know that there are 3 ways that you can write a ratio. There are 3 ways, okay? The first way is as a fraction, okay? So if you take the example above, it can be written as 2 to 3. 2 to 3, okay? You can write a ratio using a colon, all right? So you could say that was 2 colon 3. All right, that's another way to write it. For 2 stars, there are 3 circles, 2 to 3. Or you could do exactly as the example above did. You could use the word 2, as in 2 to 3. All right. All of those are the 3 ways that you can write ratios. All right. So looking at a ratio there, it's a comparison of 2 or more numbers. Okay. Now, ratios are kind of the overall arcing thing. The next thing that we are going to look at are rates. Okay. And we're going to start by focusing on the definition of a rate. Okay, a rate is a ratio comparing 2 numbers with different units. Okay, so this is a little bit more narrowed down, a smaller look, a smaller thing to kind of focus on, all right? A rate is a ratio comparing 2 numbers with different units. Okay, now, an example of that, a car travels 100 miles in 2 hours. The reason that this is a rate is because you've got one that deals with miles. The top unit is miles, but the bottom unit is hours, okay? Those are 2 different units, all right? 2 different units, that's what makes it a rate, okay? And just going to make a note here. 2 different units equals a rate. Okay, so that's just another note that is exactly stating what it said above there, but it never hurts to write it down. The more you write it down, the more you get it, right? Okay. All right, and then the last thing you need to know, all right, is a unit rate tells the rate in lowest terms or the amount for one item, okay? You're going to be asked to find some unit rates later on. But an example right here, Do you see how our example was 100 miles equal 100 miles per 2 hours? Okay, does everybody see that? A unit rate is when you get the number 1 in the bottom, or you get it as reduced down as possible. So in this case, the unit rate for 100 miles in 2 hours is 50 miles in 1 hour. Okay? It is the lowest terms, the smallest terms. Okay? Is everybody with me? The big thing there is just recognizing and knowing that you need to reduce it down as much as you can so that you get a 1. Any questions there? Anybody? Okay. Then let's keep moving on to our last thing to look at, which is a proportion. Okay. And we start again with the definition. A proportion is an equation showing two ratios are equal. All right, so a proportion, notice this is the first one that uses the term equation. If something is an equation, what does that mean is going to be present? An equal sign. So you're literally going to be setting two things equal. All right. So as you look down here at this example, all right, you're going to look here and see, okay, I've got the example 10 over 25 equals 40 over 100. Well, guess how you figure that out? You do what you call the cross product and see if they are equal, okay? So when I say cross product, I mean you take these two and multiply them together. And then you take these two and you multiply them together. So if you were doing this, you would have to go 10, ooh, still had my highlighter on. You would have to go 10 times 100 equals 25 times 40. And if you did those, all right, 10 times 100 equals 1,000. And guess what? 25 times 40 also equals 1,000. Those are the same, therefore it is a proportion. Okay? So that's how you show. You show it's a proportion by cross multiplying. Okay? All right. Any questions on that? Feeling okay? All right. Well, then the last thing you need to know about proportions is in a proportion, if the ratios are equivalent, then the cross products are equal. All right. And what you need to think about is you do want to think about equal fractions, but all you've got to do is actually do what we did right above here and just cross multiply. If you cross multiply and find the cross product, okay, they should be the same, and that's how you would show proportions. So all of that information right here that we've shown are the differences between ratios, rates, and proportions. Okay, ratios, rates, and proportions. All right, so this is kind of the intro to it. The next thing I'm going to give you has a front sheet where we kind of work some problems together, and then on the back there's some stuff where you're going to do it yourself. Y'all got it? Ready, set, go.